Welcome to the Clarity Podcast with David Prosper, where we inspire you to live a life by design and not by default. Today, I am thrilled to have Victoria Gallagher as our guest. Victoria is a worldwide leader in hypnotherapy, a best-selling author, an international speaker, and a life success coach. With over 20 years of experience, she has empowered countless individuals to transform their lives through the power of their minds, utilizing tools like hypnotherapy, the law of attraction, and visualization. She is also the host of the Power of Your Mind podcast, which helps listeners unleash their potential and align with their dreams. Victoria, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, David. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So what inspired you to dedicate your life to hypnotherapy and law of attraction? Can you share a bit about your journey, what led you into this field?
Yeah, I can. So when I started off as a stockbroker, but that's a backstory for that. But I was at this point, I'd been doing that about 6 years, and I just kind of found myself like burnt out, like where I couldn't even wake up in the morning on time to, get in and do what I needed to do anymore. That set me on a path to take this personal development seminar called Size Seminars. And it was a 4-day introspective experience. And during that, we did a lot of closed eye techniques where we tapped into the power of our minds, our subconscious mind, even super conscious. And we did a lot of really cool things in there. And during that, I was just so moved by the work that we were doing. It sounds like a cult or whatever. It's like people just didn't really understand what I was up to. And, and it's kind of like, it's like Disneyland. You can't really explain exactly what it's like, or it's like going to a movie. You don't want to like give them like every single last punchline of the movie, otherwise it would ruin it for them. And that's sort of how this was. So I was like, how could I help people to have this transformation, this experience? And I started writing these meditations. And when I was doing that, I got the idea, and this was way back in 1999. So this was like before the internet was like really, really popular. And I had decided that I was going to create my own website where people could download, really, well-priced programs that they could use to have the same transformation unfold in their own life. Oops, my camera's getting blurry. There we go. Anyway, so that set me on a path to kind of figure out how do I get some kind of credentials for this? And that's when I stumbled upon a hypnotherapy certification training, decided to get trained in this and actually call myself something. So then I started, I opened up an office, started getting licensed and everything. When I did that, my boss, where I was a stockbroker, gave me an ultimatum, and he put me in a position to where I had 30 days to make up my mind as to how I was going to spend I had no idea it was going to lead to this. I just thought I was going to start what is now known these days as a side hustle. I just thought I was going to do that. But I had to quit a 6-figure a year job to pursue my dream. And so, of course, I did that, and I never looked back.
What was the deciding factor to like that pivot, right? You're at a crossroad, you have a decision to make in your 6-figure income, and then to pursue this. What was that deciding factor for you?
I was just in a frame of mind at that time where I just felt really deeply connected to my, it felt like an integrity thing almost. It felt like, I can't live a lie. And if I, go, and when I say it like live a lie, it's like when you realize this is what I'm meant to do now. Like, this is who I am now. It was like, when I took that 4-day class, it was like I changed and I transformed. And so I had to figure out how to embody and be in that energy. And it wasn't that there was anything wrong with being a stockbroker anymore. Like that, I was integrity with that, when I had the passion for it. But it was like, kind of felt like it's being in a relationship with somebody that you're no longer in love with. And that was how that was for me. It was like, I can't pretend like I'm enjoying this anymore, because I just don't. I have to. And I guess the words were like, do what you love and the money will follow. And I just trusted that. I just trusted that I was going to be okay, even though there wasn't any proof. There wasn't any money coming in at that time. I did actually go through quite an adversity experience during that time. I had not integrated fully into my power to, create a business from scratch, from absolutely nothing. And so I kind of hit a fight or flight response when I was put in that position that I had to quit. Like, I wasn't expecting that. Like, I was not, but I just like, well, I'm being called, I'm being guided. Like, this is, maybe like going to be one of the biggest challenges of my life, but I'm here for it. And I'm just ready to take it on. And, it took a good year and a half of going all the way down to rock bottom, running completely out of all my life savings. And, I like hit rock bottom in every possible way, emotionally, mentally, financially. And it was at that rock bottom point where I just kind of asked myself, like, what is going on here with me? Like, what, I'm bright, I'm intelligent, I did the right thing, I went after what I love, and what is it? Like, why is this so hard for me? Why am I struggling? And what I realized in that time was that I was no longer in alignment with what I was teaching. Here I was, like, I made the decision to go ahead and go into this full time, but I wasn't actually doing the work on myself. I went into fight or flight. I'm making recordings for people all the time, but I wasn't actually listening to those recordings. I wasn't making time for myself. And so when I just became aware of that, it's like, oh, this work never stops. You have to continue to do this work. You have to continue to reprogram your mind. I was living out a pattern that I wasn't even aware that I had, which was, work hard, survival, all of these lower level, vibrations. That's where I was. And once I realized that, that's when I started spending 2 hours a day, really, retraining my mind, seeing myself, visualizing myself, saying the affirmations, getting coaching, like, actually working with a coach that could see the blind spots and see some of the blocks that I was dealing with. And that also really helped open me up and take me to the next level where I actually did start to make a profit in my business.
That's profound. And thank you for sharing the journey of facing adversity, hitting rock bottom, both emotionally and mentally, financially, and the realization to self-reflect and do that inventory of, okay, you're talking about these things and you're sharing it with others, but are you living the things that you're sharing? Now I'm curious, like, because you talk a lot about the law of attraction and a limiting mindset, when someone has that aha moment and starting to manifest the things that they want, is it you have to constantly practice that, or is it like a one time and then now you're just living in just this manifestation, or how does that work?
Yeah, I love that question so much because I think there's a lot of confusion out there about manifestation, and it tends to be synonymous in some people's minds with some magical, I'm going to wish for this and I'm going to go through these steps and then boom, I'm going to bring about my desire. And the way that I explain it is that it's about being in alignment. I also feel like it's a personal growth. It's like law of attraction. The fact that we can manifest things is like the dangling carrot that gets you to have to do the internal work on yourself to become in alignment with whatever it is that you want. And so there's the shifts that we have to make in our mind. There's the shifts that we have to make in our actions that we take that are in alignment with that thought. There are the shifts that we have to make emotionally. And a lot of times too, there's so many beliefs that we're carrying around, beliefs that we don't even really know that that so many of these beliefs, they get instilled in us from the time that we are born. And our conscious minds haven't fully formed yet to allow us to have discernment between what our parents are telling us about money or relationships or our health. Those are the three big areas that people are generally focused on. Wanting to improve something in your body, you want to improve something in your love life, or you want to improve something in your success area, including, money, business, whatever it is. And so we want those things, we see those things, and we say, okay, and law of attraction, to me, there's these 8 manifesting conditions. And the first one is really in knowing exactly what you want, why you want it, getting very specific. Having clarity. That's one of the reasons why I love your podcast, is it is about having that clarity on knowing exactly what you want. And clarity in and of itself is such a, that's in and of itself, that can be such a blocker for people, because when you're not willing to say, this is what I want, this is why I want it, this is when I want it, this is how I want it, and get extreme specificity on that, you're never going to be able to line up with that, because there's a reason why you're not able to get specific. And that reason why is usually because maybe you just don't believe it. You're not willing to commit to it. You're afraid of what might happen on the other side of that, the results. Sometimes the results that we get can create more problems, or it can cause more responsibility, or whatever it is. So that's like really the very first pillar, I think, is just having that clarity. And I call that condition number 1. And then condition number 2 teaches us to focus on what we want rather than on what we don't want. And so much time is spent complaining about things. People just find it so easy to complain. But when you complain, what the universe hears is like, whatever it is, like, I hate traffic. Traffic, sucks. Well, what the universe hears is like, oh, let's, put you in more situations where you can experience more traffic. Because the subconscious mind doesn't differentiate between what you don't want or what you do want. If you're thinking traffic, that's what you're visualizing, that's what you're putting out there, and that's what you're going to experience. And then, and it's like, what are you imagining? Because the imagination, and that's the third condition, is all about, what are you imagining? What are you, feeding visually to the subconscious mind? Because that's kind of one of the ways that the subconscious mind processes information. We have our beliefs, we have our vibration, we have our ability to tap in and listen to intuitive guidance, which I call the super conscious mind, creative attraction. And of course, there's action. There's actually taking inspired and aligned action with what we want. And finally, there's the manifestation, how we interact with that manifestation. Are we grateful for it? Are we just like, oh yeah, let's just move on to the next thing? Or are we even appreciating that the steps, that the signs are manifestations in and of themselves? The little progress that we make, those are manifestations in and of themselves. So that's the way that I move through the law of attraction. I think it's more about aligning, being, taking these personal growth steps and actions toward what we want. What we want is just more like that dangling carrot that gets us to grow into the person that we're meant to become.
That's powerful. And there were so many takeaways and nuggets and wisdom. Like, I was listening, and some of the takeaways I took was, you have to release in order to receive, because you talked about there's some belief system that we've adopted from childhood, from our parents, and how money is and how relationships. And then I also heard count the cost, right? Of like, what are you willing to lose, and what are you willing to commit to? And then the process of like what you shared, the clarity, like, what's your intention? The focus, what are you looking at? The imagination, what are you creating? The vibration, the super conscious, and then the manifestation. Because that's fascinating. I've heard of the law of attraction, and I've heard of like you just wish for it and you just believe it. But you're talking about there's so many steps to get to the manifestation. And then you're even talking about like how are you interacting with the manifestation with gratitude, and how are you appreciating on what we appreciate appreciates. How does hypnotherapy work in combination of that?
Oh, that's another really, really great question. So, I always kind of felt like hypnotherapy and law of attraction, though, just the way that I learned these together, they just really felt like they were interconnected or interrelated in a lot of ways, because the law of attraction states that, you attract into your life whatever you are, thinking about, feeling about, and taking action on. And, so it's, whatever you are focused on, you're going to attract more of that. So when it comes to hypnotherapy, helps you in each one of these areas. If you don't know what you want, you can do hypnotherapy and ask yourself, what do I want? And you're going to get some of those beliefs, some of the blocks and some of those things out of the way that might be blocking you from really tapping into the deeper part of you that knows yourself completely and knows exactly what you want. So it can help you to get that clarity. Hypnosis, and I kind of, bounce back and forth between, hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy is a little bit more like a two-way dialogue communication, between the therapist, the hypnotherapist, and the person. Hypnosis is a little bit more, that is more direct suggestion, just speaking directly, planting seeds into the subconscious mind. So it can help you to change your programming. It can help you to, if you have a habit of constantly getting focused and getting your focus on the things that you don't want, you can turn to hypnosis to reprogram your mind to think more positive thoughts. Same thing with any of these tools, these conditions to align yourself with. You can use hypnosis, and that's how I tend to use it, is helping to reprogram those beliefs. Like that's probably one of the biggest things. It's just those beliefs that really get in the way. I mean, if you want to know what's in your subconscious mind and what you really believe, not what you believe with your conscious mind, but what you actually believe in your subconscious mind, just take a look around you. Take a look in your environment. Take a look at what you have. Take a look at the people that are in your life. Take a look at your bank account. Take a look at all the things. That's what you really believe. And that can be changed through hypnotherapy as long as you're open to it and you're willing to have more, or have more of what you actually do want. So it's just a beautiful process of, rather than willing yourself, which is a conscious thing, willing yourself, like willpower is just really designed for short bursts of time. It's not really designed for permanent change. It's just designed to get you from A to B quickly. And so many people try to use willpower to make permanent changes, and it just wasn't designed that way. Hypnotherapy actually is where those longer term permanent changes can take place in the subconscious mind. It's kind of considered a threat to your system. So when you try to make a change, notice how, a few days later, you're like, I'm just not into this anymore. I can't seem to get myself back to that gym. I can't seem to keep up with this diet. I can't seem to stop drinking. I can't seem to stop smoking. You do it for a few days because you're operating with the willpower, but most people don't have enough willpower to get them, that's where you have to actually use hypnosis to change the subconscious mind, which is, working against you, to get it to work for you instead.
Working against you to work for you. And hypnosis is changing that subconscious. So I'm hearing like the long-term impact and the improvement. Like in your experience, what would you say is the gap? The gap is what people know to what people can do, from moving from that limited mindset to a limitless mindset? What would you say that is?
It's really working with the subconscious mind. That's really the biggest gap. The biggest gap I would say overall is all of the beliefs. You see, from the time like you were 0 to teen, your mind was like wide open. And so anything you heard or anything you told yourself, like by your parents, by your kids in school, by clergy, by whatever, all that stuff just goes in unfiltered. So just imagine if you had somebody just constantly telling you, you're not good enough, you're never going to amount to anything, money is the root of all evil, we don't have enough money, we can't afford it, there's not enough money to put food on the table, men are bad, women are bad, and it's just constantly like hearing that get into, well, these now become stored into your subconscious mind. And so whenever you go out and you try to do something that is in opposition to what those beliefs are, you're just not going to be able to do it. So the gap really is to start to become aware of what those beliefs are. Most people don't really they haven't really done the work to figure out, like, you don't hear these things. These are buried in your subconscious mind. And what they do, these subconscious mind beliefs, is they actually create these rationalizations in your conscious mind. So you think that whatever you're doing is your idea, but it's not. The subconscious mind tricks you into going along with its plan because it's more powerful. It holds all of, basically it holds all the power. So once you say like, okay, I want to do this. And you just simply can ask yourself, like, what is in my way? Like, why can't I just do this? And you're going to hear something like, well, because you're not smart enough, or because, only other people can do those things. You can't do those things, or whatever it is, and you start to listen to what is it saying. And it's like, that voice, that's the voice that's been actually running the show and, unmotivating me or whatever it is. And so once you hear that, you've got to have the awareness of what's actually going on in the first place. Then you can say, well, what would I need to believe about myself instead? The possibility for myself of having everything that it takes in order to do that. And then once you start to plant these new seeds, these new affirmations, these new positive beliefs, those beliefs, from there, you can take new actions and you can actually be the person that is in alignment with that. It's about being that person, forcing yourself or willing yourself to do things that are not who you are. You manifest not what you want. You manifest who you are.
It's who you are, not what you want. And the being part, I love how you said, like, to first become curious about yourself, and then flipping the question to reframing. Okay, if I've been told that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, what would it look like? And I'm paraphrasing, what would it look like, or what would it sound like in order to embody this? That's a different, uncommon way of looking at it, because law of attraction it's a very common phrase that's been utilized, but your approach is very unique. Now, if listeners are listening saying, hey, I connect a lot with Victoria, how would they get in touch with you?
So there's a couple of ways. And since we're talking so much about, hypnosis and law of attraction, I've kind of smashed these concepts together inside pretty much everything that I do, everything I write about, all my books, but my app, which is called Believe. So the app Believe it's a manifestation app. It is an app, and it's really designed. I love my entrepreneurs because, the thing is that, being one, you realize all of the little things that can kind of get in your way, the motivation, the productivity, the confidence, the imposter syndrome, the discipline, we need so many tools to be doing the work that we do. And I think every entrepreneur is on some kind of a mission. They have a gift to share. And I really just want to help people to get themselves out of the way so that they can be who they were meant to be and be able to share those gifts. So that's why I put together Believe, because it's everything that somebody who's in that space, we all get self-doubt from time to time. Sometimes it take a long time before it comes to fruition, and you've got to be able to stay that course. That's what the Believe app does. So you can find the Believe app at believehypnosis.app, and then you can find out all of the other things that Victoria does at victoriagallagher.com.
Victoria, thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge, your insight with us today. Your work in hypnotherapy, law of attraction, and personal growth is transformational. And I know our listeners are going to walk away feeling inspired and ready to take control of their life. Thank you so much for being part of the Clarity Podcast.
Thank you so much. That was my goal, and I'm so happy you had asked amazing questions. So thank you so much.
It's an honor. To our listeners, if you've enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, stay clear, stay inspired, and keep on designing your life with intention.